Ah, yes, Assassin's Creed. Okay, so guys, we covered a lot about Alexis. Is it Mark? Oh, Marc Alexis Cote. I keep saying Alexis Marc Cote. It's Marc Alexis Cote. All right. So we covered a lot of Marc Alexis Cote because he made a lot of statements during the Assassin's Creed Shadows debacle last year. And it took me a bit of a shock and a bit of a surprise where out of nowhere, he seemingly left Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft. And this happened at a time where they were trying to convince everybody that Assassin's Creed is doing better than it ever has been. Right? They were trying to tell everybody that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the number one game in the universe. Every alien that has ever existed in this universe has played Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's how successful it was, right? And then all of a sudden, Marc Alexis Cote just left, and nobody quite understood why. He's been pretty quiet about it. He did dispel one allegation, and then after that, kind of went quiet about it. Well, apparently now he is suing Ubisoft, which is interesting, for almost $1 million, alleging supposedly constructive dismissal for the reason why he is suing the company. Former Assassin's Creed boss Marc Alexis Cote left Ubisoft just 7 months after the release of Shadows, one of the most see what I'm saying? One of the most successful games in the series history, bro. Why are we still doing this?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Why are we still doing this? There's no reason, bro. It's 2026. Can we stop? Can we stop lying about it? He stood up for the game as public figures like Elon Musk derided it. And the day after Ubisoft announced his exit from the company, he said it wasn't his choice. And now he is, in fact, suing. It says when he originally spoke on the issue last October, he said on LinkedIn he was offered a role at the nascent Vantage Studios, but that it did not carry the same scope, mandate, or continuity with the work that I have been entrusted with in recent years. So what it really means is that Ubisoft gave him an ultimatum, and they said, we can fire you right now, or you can take a lower position. We're going to demote you, and you could keep your job at a lower pay, and it'll be fine. The choice is yours. And this guy probably got super offended. He's like, I'm not going to take a job lower than what I'm at right now. Why would I do that? And to be fair, a lot of people wouldn't do that, right? So that seems to be the case. But let's continue. So it was evident back then that he was not enthusiastic about leaving. And he said, I came to see myself as the captain of the Assassin's Creed ship. Someone who leaves only once every soul on board is safe. And that is exactly what I've done for as long as I could. On Friday, Radio Canada reported that a lawsuit was filed in the Superior Court of Quebec, claiming $1.3 million in damages, just under $1 million in U.S. currency, including 2 years' salary and $75,000 in moral damages. Wow. What the fuck, bro? Moral damages? The lawsuit argues, obtained via machine translation, that Mr. Cote's influence would have crumbled since the creation of Vantage Studios, which took charge of the Assassin's Creed series. He who until then had received his orders directly from the CEO himself at Ubisoft. In other words, he was made to be head of production, who would have answered to the head of franchise, a position that oversees development of Rainbow Six, Far Cry, and Assassin's Creed. Cote wasn't considered for the head of franchise role, as it was based in France rather than Quebec. So he felt his only options were the apparent demotion or unwilling resignation. So that's literally what I said. Why am I not surprised? That's literally what I said. It says Radio Canada's report states that Cote considered all the unacceptable and constituted constructive dismissal, which, if you're unaware, is when a resignation is considered involuntary because working conditions become hostile. Moral damages? You guys don't know what moral damages is? Good, neither do I. Emotional damage. Yeah, I don't know, maybe one of those things. So he's been consistent on that October when he wrote, I did not walk away. I stayed at my post until Ubisoft asked me to step aside. On LinkedIn, Cote had worked on the series since 2010 during the development of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I mean, listen, at this point, I don't know what the $1.3 million in damages is from or for. I have no idea. It seems like a lot of money. And I mean, also wanting 2 years salary, bro. Like what? So you want $1.3 million. Actually, really, you want $1 million. You want $1 million, and then you want 2 years paid salary, and then you also want $75,000 in moral damages. Right. So how much money exactly are you trying to get out of this fucking lawsuit? It's so insane. That is a fuck ton of money. And I guess they're probably, dividing and conquering, hoping that they could at least get, some of the money instead of all the money. But yeah, I think at this point, whenever we see a high profile lawsuit like this is almost guaranteed to settle out of court. These companies are not going to go into a courtroom. Ubisoft is going to sit him down and they're going to be like, listen, what do you want to just shut the fuck up? That's basically it. What do you want to shut the fuck up? Like, what do you want? $1 million? Shut up. You want $2 million? Shut up. Like, what do you want to shut the fuck up and leave us alone? That's basically it. So again, we will see. We will follow up on this and see what happens. But if you are, holding your breath for some sort of like, I don't know, fucking trial or something, you're probably not going to get it. Most likely with this. The more he wins, the more the lawyers get. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I totally get that. I understand that. I 100% get that. But I mean, damn. The moral damages seem to line up with how much his lawyers cost. Strange. Interesting how that works. Kind of like what Weenie for Sweetie said. Interesting, right? Now, I've disagreed with Marc Alexis Cote in the past. He has said some really stupid shit regarding Assassin's Creed as a whole, especially Assassin's Creed Shadows. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was the guy that admitted that Assassin's Creed Shadows had a team of people working on it who over 50% of them never worked on a video game before. Ever. Like, I'm not talking about never worked on an Assassin's Creed game. I'm talking about never worked on a video game ever. That was over half of their team, right? So that's pretty insane, number one. Also, number two, he said some other wild shit, obviously, regarding like DEI and all that nonsense that people are like, well, that's kind of gay. Nobody cares about that. But overall, if he was forcibly removed, I kind of feel like it had to do with the performance of this game, right? Am I crazy for thinking that? The person who was in charge of Assassin's Creed Shadows is now suddenly being forced to get demoted after supposedly the most successful game like ever in the history of video games. Now, all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, well, you could either take the lower position or you could get to stepping. It's just, does anybody else think that's insane timing? Right? Because otherwise, like, is this really a successful game? They're trying to get rid of this guy for a reason. So clearly, I don't think they thought that he, made Shadows up to what it should have been. Most usually are. Yeah, I don't know. This is a strange one, to be honest with you. But at this point, it is what it is. So we're going to follow up with the story. We're going to see what happens from this. I think this just got filed. I'm pretty sure either today or yesterday or something like that. So we'll see what ends up happening. But guarantee this is going to settle. And we're never going to know how much for. And they're just going to settle and be done with it. Ubisoft does not give a fuck. Even though they're broke as hell right now, they still don't give a fuck. Yeah, 2 years salary is crazy, right? That's what he wants. 2 years salary. It's crazy. But the game was so successful. We are demoting you. You are too valuable. I know. It's weird, right? Where have we seen this before? Everywhere. Everywhere. So many studios have gone through the same exact thing. They're like, we have the most number one successful video game ever, but we're laying everybody off because of reasons. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that kind of just doesn't add up, right? If you're so successful, normally you would see some level of success, but instead we got some weird AI looking fucking Attack on Titan collaboration. And apparently Yasuke and fucking Naoe are banging now. It's like, where did all that come from? Hey, let's catch up on supers really quick. We got this legend of Dare Soto with a 10. I know we don't care about these people from Ubisoft, but at the end of the day, the real cost of all of this started from the Guillemot family CEO making them lose their jobs and lying to their investors. I think that Ubisoft is probably the most egregious when it comes to trying to deflect and potentially lie to their investors, right? Because it's not technically lying if you're telling the truth. But again, what it is about framing the truth. They are framing it in a way that makes it seem like their games are so much more, so much more successful than they actually are. And they even did it with Star Wars Outlaws for the longest time until eventually they just have to admit it. Like, bro, the game fucking flopped, dude. The game flopped, right? It is what it is. The game flopped. You guys paid an ungodly amount of money for the Star Wars brand, and the game flopped. It is what it is. You just kind of have to move on. But they'll go down with the shit for as long as they possibly can until they just can't do it anymore. So they've done it before, and they're doing it again with this. So otherwise, there's no reason to demote him, especially if he was doing supposedly amazing work. So something had to give there. Okay.